All right, Motts, we are back. Episode 274 of the Rink Shrinks. What do you say? You ready to go?
Let's go.
This episode of the Rink Shrinks is brought to you by FanDuel. Head over to the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get in on all the excitement that is the NHL. With the season coming down to a close, who do you like to win the Norris Trophy? We got three. Choose your three finalists, Motts.
I think.
What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Bouchard's overall game. Like, it's not just about points. So, you know, he could be in the top three, at the end, but he's not in mine.
Okay.
I got Werenski.
Yep.
Makar, and Hughes. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, in my opinion. With Werenski winning it, he's had an unbelievable year. He's more of just he's not just an offensive guy. So,
yeah.
You just pretty much go in that order. Werenski 1, Makar 2, Hughes 3.
Yeah, I like it. And you get some good odds over at the FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel Sportsbook app, for all three of those three guys, and obviously you get some sleepers in there like a Lane Hudson's plus 2,000, and he's had a hell of a year too.
Yeah.
You got to give a guy like that some credit
For sure.
But I would agree with you where I think that Werenski, Makar, and Hughes have really kind of been 1, 2, 3 this year. Bouchard's definitely a guy that. The beginning of the year, he really started slow, but he's just a point getter, and you got to give him some credit there. So, a lot of good options. But head over to the FanDuel Sportsbook app and get in on the action. Right, pick your Norris Trophy winner. Right.
Yeah, and you're getting some good odds. We'll just make sure we go back through. It's like you're getting dash 450 is kind of that's the odds-on favorite, but plus 3,500, Makar could sneak in.
Right.
Plus 10,000. So we'll see.
We'll see how she goes. It's a Norris Trophy themed kind of podcast. We were, lucky enough to be joined by Chris Pronger, and we want to get this episode out. So, just a great player and a great guy. So it was really a treat to sit down and talk to him for an hour, which was really cool. But before we do, we're talking D. Congratulations is in order to you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
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 Thanks.
Massachusetts hockey Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be going in, I think ceremonies in May.
Yeah, May 2nd.
May 2nd. It's a really cool honor. And in your typical humble ways, you don't even bring it up. You don't say anything. And but it's a great tribute and really exciting to to congratulate you on that, right? It is cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting with, I think they were bored, with
with this class,
mass hockey. No, yeah. I just, being from Mass and playing, so much, throughout youth and, into, like the travel, high school, and even college. Just, I really appreciated my path. And because it just has a lot, and then with my son coming through, I just looked at a lot of it, and had some really, really good players too that I played with and against, and that helped me. So the class is a good class. I just have get down there and just kind of see how it goes. But I'm really appreciative. Jeremiah Tava called me. Yeah, he's a really good guy. He was super excited to call me, and then Kevin Kavanaugh as well. We had some time with at Hartford, went on the pro side, so he's done a good job at Mass Hockey, and JT is a good man, so he was the one that made the call. So
yeah, Jeremiah had reached out and sent me a text a while ago, and I think I forgot to announce it when when he did. Like he's
an avid listener, by the way.
I know, and Jeremiah was like, hey, he's like, can you do it? And of course, I forgot to put it in my notes or write it down. Forgot to, but and then I saw it online. I'm like, oh, I knew I was supposed to say something, but no, it was really cool. So congratulations on that. It is a huge honor, and like you said, going in with some legends of the game, especially here in Massachusetts, right? Jay Miller and Chris Nyland, LaRue Renfro from, who basically built the hangar up in otherwise known as the New England Sports Center from scratch. And LaRue coached me back in the day during, that eighth grade. I was in the eighth grade and needed a team to play for. It was like, a different time with all the split season stuff. But during those winter months, him and Wes Tuttle, who Wes was another legend of the game. And so really cool. I think is that the entire class?
And Jimmy Madigan.
And Jimmy Madigan. Jeez, how could I forget him? Great, obviously coach at Northeastern and player, and just been, Northeastern lifer. So really, really cool for that, for that announcement. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you very much.
We're proud of you. We're proud of you. Nice. Revive DNA. You can look in the Instagram. You got the QR code. Go in. Check out Revive DNA. They do a great job. It's a simple cheek swab and analyzes your core genetic data in just 4 weeks. So get that competitive edge and go there and take advantage of it. Right, get those gains in.
Yeah, we talk about maximizing your genetic capacity. You put in so much work. This is another way that you can separate yourself. So make sure you check out that QR code on our Instagram.
And we're going to send it over to the interview with Chris Pronger right now, because this is a real treat. And but before we do, TSR Hockey's up in Salem, New Hampshire. They do a great job up there. I know right now they're humming away with all their team fittings. I've been following them online, and so whether it's the team store at 603-912-5970 or the going into Salem, New Hampshire, or one of their other locations. They just do a great job from top to bottom, taking care of the hockey players, and they even get lacrosse stuff. Big lacrosse market right now as well. So the kids being multi-sport athletes. So go to tsrhockey.com.
Yeah, if you're in the area, make sure you tell them the Shrink sent you.
And now it's time for Hockey Hall of Famer Chris Pronger. And our next guest on the Rink Shrinks podcast is a veteran of over 1,100 NHL games. He's a Stanley Cup champion and NHL Hockey Hall of Famer. Welcome to the podcast, Chris Pronger. What a treat this is, Mott.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, we could have listed off all the accolades, but that would have been the whole show. So
exactly.
Let's stick to the main ones.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We'll touch them all. We'll touch a lot of them, but we couldn't read everything off here. I'd still be going at it. So no, this is great, and obviously, you're going to be an author too, so we can get on that, right? The book's coming out, which is exciting news, and I love the title, Earned, right? The true cost of greatness from one of hockey's fiercest competitors. And I think everybody that watched you play, especially in our era growing up, that's you to a T. So congratulations on the book. We're all excited that that's going to be coming out to learn more about your story.
Thank you. Yeah, you can get the book at Amazon.com. You can get the book off my website, chrispronger.com. I think it should be mandatory reading for youth hockey players.
Yeah, can you give us a little teaser?
Yeah. Number one, I'm a big proponent of multisport. Be an athlete first. Don't be a hockey player, be an athlete.
Yeah.
Number two, bet on yourself, and challenge yourself. Don't take the easy way. There is no easy path. You have to earn.
Yep.
You have to earn every opportunity. You have to earn ice time. You have to earn everything in life. You got to earn it.
Right.
And so, I try to explain to people sport, this whole idea about being sports specific doesn't need to happen. I probably stopped. It's not that I stopped playing. I just maybe competitively stopped playing other sports when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my summers I was training and, all the rest of that. But up until that point, I played volleyball, baseball, golf, badminton, just anything you could compete at, I played.
Right.
And just, be an athlete. Think about, I actually talked to a friend of mine who's a doctor who does a lot of hips. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me about hockey in general, that you could take anybody who's played youth hockey, all the way through high school, you can grab them, even if they don't advance and play further after that. you could look at their hips and you could probably do surgery on every single one of them.
Yeah.
Just the way the hip articulates and the movement that we are supposed to make walking, that skating stride is not a normal movement for the body.
Yeah.
And so you need time off. So these kids that are skating 365 days a year, it's not good for you.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about, you see it more and more in younger players, maybe because of the overuse, but also I figured like the strength of the boot, like that energy that was usually lost in the ankle and then to the knee, and like it's just so stiff and rigid. Yeah, it really helped promote, like some speed, I would say. But I think that's just one of the major factors. But making sure that you do play multi-sports and take that time off, like we really do kind of promote that on this podcast consistently. But it's kind of easier said than done at times, but you don't have to have the
there's
organized...
a lot of FOMO out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's great messaging there, and
At
I can't
all
wait to
levels.
get the book. Yeah.
Right. No, exactly.
Now, one thing I will say about that is if you take, let's say, even if it's 2 months off, 3 months off, whatever that is, you're still working out. You're still doing other things. You're working on your hand-eye coordination as you play other sports and things like that. So you're not necessarily missing out on anything as it relates to that, but it's the whole fear of missing out, the whole ideology behind sports specific and all this. I'm not sure where it came from. Mm-hmm. If we look at the whole GOAT conversation and who the greatest athletes of all time are, if you can name 4 or 5 of them, I guarantee you every single one of them was a multi-sport athlete.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, for sure.
That's the truth.
Here's my case made.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. That's it. All right. Well, buy the book, and thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you. Oh, God. No, well, take us back to the beginning, right? Obviously, I know you have a brother that played, and I'm sure a lot of it was following in his footsteps. But like your typical Canadian-born player, I'm sure it was street hockey and just playing on the ponds and in the local rinks, right?
Yeah. So where I'm from, Dryden, Ontario, 2 blocks from my house, we had an outdoor rink.
Nice.
Obviously, we played road hockey out in front of our house. We had a driveway where we would shoot pucks, and then we had a basement. No. So depending upon how many people were involved and what the weather looked like, we were doing one of those. And then there was obviously structured practice or games down at the local Dryden Arena. And, during winter, which in my hometown is pretty long.
Starts early, ends late.
Yeah, that's hockey time. So from September to, April,
right,
you're playing hockey, and then April, May, June, you're playing baseball, and then June, July, August, you're golfing, and then the only time I would touch a stick or skates or anything like that, maybe rollerblades, but I did 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks of August, I'd go see my grandparents who lived 4 hours away in Thunder Bay, and my brother and I would do a hockey school.
Yeah, and
then that was to see them and to kind of just get ready for the hockey season and get used to skating again and all the rest of that, and kind of get our mojo back.
Yeah, get your legs going
again. Reacclimated with what a puck feels like and what a skating stride is and all that good stuff. And then, just start up again. And, you take that much time off, it also rekindles the passion for the game and for learning and all the rest of that. So it just, not only does your body need a break, but I think mentally you need a break too.
Right.
Absolutely. And we talk about those transferable skill sets all the time. And I love how you said, the FOMO. Where did the sports specific come into play? And I think maybe people thinking they can make money on it, so whatever it may be, extending seasons, offering more ice time or more batting, or whatever sport it is.
Yeah.
And I just feel that transferable skill set, and, you hit on it multiple times, but you're giving your body a break in those certain areas, but also, you can you used to tip pucks all the time. I remember just seeing, just messing around after practice or whatever, when we played against you, and next thing you know, you're out in front of the net on the PP. It's like,
What's he doing here?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just as far as like the transferable stuff and being an athlete first, and I love that. Yeah, you kind of mentioned that, and that it's in the book too.
Yeah. It's like in the beginning of the book, the first two and a half chapters is my youth hockey, the decisions I made. It's funny hearing Connor Hellebuck's story talking about he never played AAA. I never played AAA either. I played high school hockey.
It's amazing.
And, it was a big deal at that moment when I decided to do that. I wanted to play with my friends. I wanted to be able to go. I thought we had a good team. And I didn't want to sit in a bus for, 12, 14 hours a day, getting to a place so you could go play hockey a couple times and then leave. And that was just a conscious decision that I made. My brother did it. He played AAA and did that path, and I saw the toll it took on him. And, you have to understand you're on your own unique journey, your own path. What's right for somebody is not necessarily right for me, and vice versa. And so I try to tell people, just because I did that doesn't mean it's right for you.
Right.
You have to kind of weigh the options and look at the whole landscape and see, how strong you are mentally and what you're willing to deal with along the way. But for me, it was a great opportunity. I was 14 playing high school against 19, 20-year-olds.
Right.
And so, while I was fairly tall, I was 6'1", I was a scrawny kid, and you learn leverage, you learn how to manage against those. Yeah. You got to learn how to manage against those bigger, stronger players. And so it was a great chance for me to, and we had great coaches too. That was the nice thing. Our D coach, Jack McMaster, played, Canadian University and played, fairly high levels, senior hockey and whatnot. So, had a good resume to him and to his name. And, he was awesome for me, just a great resource at that time. And then, moved on and had some great coaching along the way. But, it takes that first step. You got to bet on yourself, and you got to be willing to put in the work.
Right. No, that's what it's all about. And talk about that transition. I know, just in doing a little bit of homework, it was, you were on the verge at like going to college, right? So you ultimately made that decision to go play in the Ontario Hockey League in Peterborough. But what was that whole process like?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was committed. I had already set up my visits. I was going to go to Maine, Michigan State, Michigan, Denver, and North Dakota. And my brother was at Bowling Green, so I'd already been there a few times, so I didn't need to use an official visit.
Right. Yeah.
I've already seen what it was all about. And so on a number of different fronts.
Yeah. Steak and shake.
And so, that I was rated second overall in the OHL draft, told everybody I wasn't going, and I wasn't going. I was going to go back to Stratford in Junior B in the Midwestern Junior League in Ontario. And then I made the under 18 team. Myself and Paul Creer were the only two Junior A, Junior B players, outside of the other guys that were Canadian Hockey League players, which was interesting. And then we were the only two guys that made the All-Star team in the tournament. So that was a shot across the bow, I guess. And, I think for me, it gave me a lot of confidence playing against those guys that were rated in the first round of that upcoming draft. I had a late birthday, as did Paul. So we were in the following year. And having that ability to challenge yourself against what was kind of the best of the best of our age group, and to fare very well, and be like, okay, maybe I need to think about continuing to challenge myself. I think the biggest factor in me not going to college was that I was going to have to go back to Junior B and play one more year and graduate high school before I could go. And I did not want, after that experience in Japan with the under 18, I didn't want to go back to Junior B and into lesser competition. I wanted to keep challenging myself against the best players in my age group, and that was in the CHL and certainly the Ontario Hockey League. That first year, I think my second or third year in the league, Eric Lindros came back because he didn't go to Quebec. And, so I got a chance to play against the Big E, the man-child back then, and quite a specimen.
Seriously.
I was, what was I, maybe 6'4" at the time, 160 pounds, having to battle him. It was a treat.
But that's like going back to that when you're 14 years old playing against older players. Now you're playing against, maybe age appropriate, but like you got these guys who are men. He was a man playing junior.
Oh, absolutely. And that to your point, having had that experience of playing against bigger, stronger, older players, that gave me an advantage because understanding leverage and understanding you're not going to out-muscle these guys, but you got to find a different track, different way to do it. And so, I think that was instrumental, I think, in giving me more, giving me the strength and the ability to kind of lean back on that a little bit and think it through, really kind of play chess a little bit with the decision and also the fact that it was Peterborough and knowing the history of the franchise and what they were all about, and Dick Todd and Jeff Toohey were there. That gave me a lot of comfort too.
I just couldn't imagine if you ended up at Maine with
Korea
and Montgomery and all that. That was like an NHL team already, and if they didn't lose a game the whole season, imagine if you were there too. Oh my God!
Would have been the same year as Korea?
That we would have went there together as freshmen.
Oh boy!
Oh,
and he scored 100 points as a freshman.
Yeah,
crazy.
And we had talked a little bit about it in Japan, like where are you going to go and who, what are you thinking? And then it didn't get far enough where I was going to go do anything.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thinking about it, pretty solid. So
I mean, how do you? I was just gonna. Sorry, Motts, but the even now, like, what are your thoughts? Because I know you stay involved in the game and you're constantly watching and everything, but like now, the kids being able to play in the CHL and go to college, like, are you kind of in favor of it?
Yeah, I think it's and maybe for those that aren't up to date on it. When I made the decision, I had 48 hours to go to training camp.
Yep.
And I had to pay my own way. I had to do all that stuff, get to training camp, do the 48 hours. So do 2 practices.
Right.
I think we maybe scrimmaged the second day. And then I had to make up my mind. Like, is this where I want to play? Like, number one, they got to want you. Yes, he's good enough. And then B, on your end, do you really want to be here? And, that the first day I went and met my potential billets and kind of saw the setup I would have. And then obviously went for dinner with them, went back, played scrimmage and then practiced. And I think, again, the challenge and the ability to push yourself and play against the best, we had some guys that drafted in the second round. You got to remember back then there was 22 teams in the league. So you had early second round picks, which would be first rounders now.
Yep.
And so the ability to challenge yourself against them, see how strong they were, how good of skaters they were, all the rest of that, you could really kind of compare and contrast and see kind of where your game was at, what you needed to work on. And so for me, that ability to do that really kind of put me over the edge. And then now, I chose not to. That 48 hours that went by like that. Nowadays, you're able to get the best of both worlds, where if you're a 17, 18-year-old, you can go play, maybe 19, go play junior. And then, I think most colleges now typically want their freshmen to be 20 anyways, outside of the really young guys that are, first round picks and are kind of the cream of the crop, especially now with NIL.
Right.
I think it opens the door a little bit more. I don't think as many players are going to go as maybe people think. Just with either they're not going to be wanted. They're going to want the top guys, and they've already got a whole crop of guys. They want older guys.
Right.
And so I don't necessarily think there's going to be a lot. I think just those top guys that are either about to be drafted or were just drafted, they're going to want to go play against the older guys. Kind of very similar to what I did with high school. They're going to want to go challenge themselves. It's just the competition a little bit better. Little more, they'll be more pro ready because of that age. And to your point, they're playing against men.
Yeah.
So I think that part of it is going to be very important in the development of those players. And look at Porter Martone and what it did for him going, working on his, a lot of times it's not necessarily the skills that need the work. It's the body, the frame, and the fewer games they have and the ability to have access to all the amenities, the gyms and the trainers and all the rest of that these schools have. Right. A lot of these junior teams aren't able to match that.
Well, nowadays you look at the colleges and most of these programs, like you said, the not only the working out, but also the eating and, whether it's putting on weight or whatever it may, whatever, they're going to build a diet around what you need to do. Right. Where even we played college, it was like, hey, go grab an extra bagel, kid. You know what I mean?
Here's McDonald's. When I played junior, I had some guys, their billet would give them McDonald's for pregame.
Hey, guys, it's a little different than the Hartford Civic Center, some of these places.
Yeah, they get the Sbarro at Hart in the mall down there.
In the mall, yeah. Go get a slice, kid.
Oh,
exactly.
Classic.
But yeah, I always I think you nailed it with some of these points. But like back when I was playing, I would be like in the room with a Western Canadian kid, let's just say, and a smart kid, and he had to make those decisions to go to major junior at 16 years old, right?
Yeah,
16, 17. And I'm like, it's just unfortunate that maybe you could play junior and then if you're college ready, and that's kind of like the situation it is now. But having the best of both worlds, and everyone's path is different, and I just think that some guys will stick with major junior, and then other guys will have that opportunity and seize that opportunity to play at a university and be that maybe older player that is going to be there for a few years and help a program win. And then obviously like the guys that are ready are going to go. So there's different ways, and I just think
it's not only that too. It's not only major junior, the USHL too. Like there's kids that are in the USHL that maybe weren't ready for the major junior, but they're slow developers or they take more time, To your point, everybody's on their own path. Like you're not always like the rocket ship. It's just slow and steady. And, a lot of kids don't get drafted. That doesn't mean that you're not a good player. It depends. Maybe not fitting the criteria that they're drafting this year under. And you shouldn't be deterred. I think number one, if you don't go to major junior now because of the ability to go to college now, with everything, you can, and by the way, you don't have to play junior. Period. You can go right from high school. Like so, there's all different ways to make it, and it really is more about your work ethic and your ability to compete, your desire. How bad do you really want it? Like if you're deterred that easily, then you're probably making up their mind for them.
For sure. Absolutely.
Walk us through the draft. Obviously, you go in, to Hartford, second overall pick. And, it was, the draft is obviously a big thing, right? Something that us as hockey fans growing up, you're always, you're intrigued by and you're watching. And what was the process like for you, obviously winning the Memorial Cup and then being drafted?
Well, we lost the Memorial Cup, but thank you for rubbing that in my face.
Like sticking in a little deep.
We made the Memorial Cup. We lost in the final to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds.
There we go. We're gonna have to bleep that one out. I can't look that bad. I can't look that bad.
Isn't that a live show?
You want to do it again? I'll let you do it again, and then I'll answer the question.
No. I gotta own it. I gotta own it. I gotta own it.
Well, we won the OHL championship. Maybe that's what you thought.
That's what I thought, exactly.
Yeah, but what was the question again?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's disregard. No, we talked.
No, it was a good question.
The draft.
The draft.
Through the draft and going second overall.
Yeah, it was interesting because there was a lot of rumors about a couple teams trying to trade up to take me. I know the Rangers were one because Mike Keenan was there at the time. Berkey, obviously, with Hartford, had talked to my agent. I think Detroit was another team. There's a couple teams that were, in the mix. And I knew San Jose was not going to take me. They told me in my pre-draft meeting, we're all set on the back end. We don't need you. They already knew they were going to take Victor Kozlov. He originally, him and Dag were kind of preseason rated as the number one pick, number ones and what have you. And so I knew they were going to take me. And I knew they could get Kozlov later in the draft, but they didn't want to go too far down. So Hartford was at 6, and that was kind of a good jumping off point for them, I think. Right. So when they expressed the most interest and they traded a lot to get me or to get the pick, that was, it's always nice to be wanted. Yes. And when they're willing to trade up like that because they've identified that you're the type of player they want to use as a building block is, it's nice to have. Didn't last very long.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as that whole process, like going through it with your family and whatnot, and I mean, having your brother, a few years older. Was there any? And this is where, I'm coaching in the USHL right now, and I felt like there was some distractions, like outside noise for some of these kids who were leading up to the draft. Did you use it as like a motivator, or did sometimes that noise kind of come into play?
Yeah, it can be, especially we always hear, it's his draft year. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of notoriety, top picks, are they excelling? Are they feeling the pressure? Things of that nature. For me, I had kind of accepted and kind of liked not necessarily the attention, but the
challenge to show that you're worthy of
that I was worthy of, where they had me rated or what have you. And always playing, when I played against those guys that were, rated in and around me in the OHL, I was like, well, I'll show you who's better.
Yeah. I'm
gonna I took it as a challenge, and I took it as a way to show who was better, and in a good way. And, under the whole premise that my team was going to win, we're going to win. I'll be an integral part, I'm going to do my job and then some. And, I think that whole year, again, having Dick Todd as my coach, he had just gone through it a few years earlier with Mike Ricci, who was the odds-on favorite to be the first overall and went 4th to the Flyers.
Yeah.
And, I think he learned a lot that year, and he didn't make me the captain of the team. He gave me an A, but didn't make me the captain, didn't want to put too much pressure on me, all the rest of that. And I think having somebody who had been through it a number of times, but, had just gone through it and understood pressure and understood kind of how that can affect a player. Having somebody like that in your corner certainly played a pivotal role in helping me kind of, with the distractions, with expectations and all the different pressure points and things of that nature that a young player is going to face.
Yeah, I love the challenge part of it, and being like, I'm going to show you when you go against someone, I'm going to show you where I stand. And it's kind of interesting because I used you as a reference. Earlier in the year, I got a 6'6" defenseman who has good feet, and I'm like, do you know who Chris Pronger is? And and he's an Anaheim kid though. He's from California. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And then he went back home and told his dad like what we talked about, and he's like, you are such an idiot. Like I mean, he was born the year you guys won the cup in 07, but still, you gotta know your defenseman, man.
Yeah. There's lots of highlights out there, right?
Yeah, good ones though. That's how I want him to play.
Yeah.
Just the way that you kind of talking about, like, not being denied or taking on the challenge of being that kind of tough player and knowing your game. Like, you didn't try to do too much, and this is what I was all the advice I was trying to give him.
Yeah, and I think as a taller, bigger player, you got to know your identity, you got to know your skill set, you got to know what you're good at.
Yeah.
And then utilize those tools and play to that identity as best as humanly possible, while, working with someone like yourself religiously in practice to get better. And I'm sure there's, like all of us, there's lots of weaknesses we can work on, constantly trying to hone our craft and get better. But knowing when you're playing the games, that's your time to shine. And that's when you showcase your positive attributes to anybody who's watching. And also that's how you're going to win games, by doing what you know best.
Did you have my office bugged?
Is that what you told him?
Exactly. Like almost verbatim. So great.
See, what's his name?
Jonas Kemps.
Jonas Kemp. My God, look at this. We're in sync.
I love it.
Watch a couple YouTube videos.
Exactly.
I had him do that.
That's awesome.
So good.
Talk about the transition from junior going to Hartford in the NHL. What was, I'm sure it wasn't always,
No.
positive, right? Like, I'm sure it was a roller coaster ride.
No.
What was that transition like?
Yeah, I think from a hockey perspective, I felt like I was ready to make the jump. I think the 2 years in junior, again, from that challenge perspective, I had reached that point where I'm like, all right, I got to go up another level. And, not being able to go to the AHL, the next one was the NHL.
Right.
And, I had a great camp, 7 points in 7 games, signed a big contract coming out of the training camp. Like I talk about it in the book. I mean, this thing went right down to the wire. I was going back to junior and I was going to play on the Olympic team. That was already, kind of set in stone. And so, I think 92 was Lillehammer. I think 94 was
Lillehammer. Albertville was 92.
Albertville.
Or was it 94?
Was that 92?
Oh yeah, either or. I get them confused too.
Yeah, I can't. One of them. It would have been Lillehammer. Albertville was the one. So, that would have been, what I was doing. I would have spent half the year with the Olympic team, and then half the year in Peterborough. And luckily, cooler heads prevailed. We got the contract done, and then expectations got a little bit higher. Yes, I was second overall, but then I had this big contract, and I don't know what was said in the negotiations, but expectations may have been a little outsized with what I was gonna change the franchise and all the rest of that. But I think for me, it was more a maturity thing, more an understanding and an ability to not only feel the pressure, take the pressure, but utilize it in a positive manner versus a negative manner. And I think I let it weigh me down. You're not going to play 82 perfect games. And for me, I was very much a roller coaster, on a high after playing a good game, and then a super, super low after a tough game. And, when you're doing that, those low points are longer, the high points are shorter, and it's just trying to get yourself out of those 3, 4, 5 game ugly stints are tough.
Yeah.
And so for me, the first couple years in Hartford were a battle in that regard, and kind of really fighting, maybe imposter syndrome, or struggling with being told where to go, what to do, and all the rest of that all the time. And so maybe pushing back against it a little bit. And I think the trade that summer of 95 really was a nice little wake-up call in the sense that this is the business of sports. It's not a right. They have the ability to do whatever they want with you. You're an asset. And, going to St. Louis, I think, was the perfect destination, middle of America, very, similar to kind of small town Canada feel, but to have the type of players we had there, I could learn under Al McGinnis and Brett Hull. Grant Fuhr was our goalie, super easy to play in front of, and then getting, picking up Gretzky at the deadline that year and getting a chance to play with him and learn, how he operated was instrumental, I think, in me kind of turning the corner.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's amazing stuff. Like, as far as just like that developmental path, even at the NHL level, like you had those ups and downs, you try to maintain it. It's a tough position to play at a young age. And, just that experience, because I played against you later in your career, and it was just like almost so easy for you because you just managed it so much better than, maybe when you're 18, 19 years old. Where did you live in Hartford? And did you live with a billet by chance?
I did live with a billet my first year.
Yeah.
We lived in Avon.
Avon, yeah.
Because our practice facility is right there in Avon Old Farm. So I lived with a family, Bob and Kathy Crispin, my first year in Hartford. Still great friends with them to this date.
That's great.
And then my second year, I lived in an apartment near a couple of the guys.
Yeah.
Coming out of the lockout, I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to move out on my own.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Maybe it wasn't the right idea.
You got to mature as a player and a person.
Yeah. Listen, you gotta, at some point, you gotta grow up and you gotta mature both on the ice and off the ice. And I think my game was slowly maturing on the ice, and it was a struggle off. There was just a lot of things that were kind of going on. Just trying to find myself, who I was.
Yeah.
Just being tall, it's hard to, fall into the crowd and not be noticed.
Yeah.
So, you can't wear glasses and a hat. Your head is still up above everybody. So it was not easy to, get into the crowd.
Yeah,
so
just blend in.
A lot of notoriety, a lot of, again, a lot of pressure. Get to St. Louis, who I got traded for. Again, not easy. A lot, again, expectations, pressure, all those things. How do you handle it? I don't think, I didn't handle it well early, but I think once the light bulb clicked and I'm like, why am I worried? Why am I worried about this so much? Why do I care what they think? I don't know who these people are anyways. Why do I care?
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
And they don't know me. That's the other thing.
Right.
They don't know me. They see me playing, but they don't know me.
Right. Exactly. Was there somebody in particular, like in St. Louis, and you said Al McGinnis's name, and obviously just growing up as a hockey fan, great player. But was it him or was it coaches that kind of like maybe helped you along as you started to really mature?
Yeah, a combination. I think the first couple of years in Hartford, they brought in Brad McCrimmon to be my mentor.
Yeah.
And,
Beast.
and the beast. And that, while I had some success, and a lot of it was in part because of him and what he was helping to teach me about the pro game, about, being a professional and what that really means. And, you're young.
Yeah.
You're not, you think you got it all figured out, and slowly it just needs to sink in, and you got to be a sponge, and bits and pieces come in at different times.
Right.
And when I got to St. Louis, having Al there, who played with Beast in Calgary, I'm sure you got a debrief from him, but being able to watch, a player of his caliber and how he handled the media, how he prepared, how he carried himself,
Right.
How he handled the notoriety and fan interaction, how he prepared for games, how he played in the games, like just the competitive nature that he had and things of that nature. When you're able to kind of now have an open mind and try to learn on the fly and learn from, one of the game's greats, it is invaluable. So, I tell people all the time, like, you got to find good mentors. You got to find people that, number one, are willing to invest in you, but number two, you have to be willing to take. It's not always going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to listen, and then you got to be able to apply it to your game, to whatever it is you're doing, so that, you're continually evolving and getting better.
Yeah. I mean, as far as that retention of information, it isn't, like I mentioned to some guys, I'm like, I'm going to just be honest with you, and, you take it how you want, but you're going to hear some things that you might not want to hear. And it's how you deal with it and how you understand. I'm not doing it to be, a dick. I'm just being honest. And it's like this constructive criticism all of a sudden is like a no-no. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to be firm, but I just know that it's just like for the right reasons. And
It's in your best interest that I'm
Yeah.
telling you this, because this is how you're going to get better.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, let's get, fast forward a bit here. Obviously, you have a great run in St. Louis, but, going to Anaheim, what was that like? And obviously winning a Stanley Cup there, it was, you remember watching those days, J.S. Jaguar, right? He was unbelievable in those playoffs. But talk about that team and yourself and, having yourself and Scott Niedermayer on the back end. I'd say, not bad. Not a bad 1-2 punch there.
Yeah, it was that was a fun team to play on. We could play any number of ways. We could play a tight defensive game 2-1. We could play a rock'em sock'em game. We had a long list of combatants we could throw out. We could play a 6-5 run and gun game. A lot of times we just sit back and wait and see how you wanted to play. Other times we'd put the hammer down and just tell you how we're going to play. And so having that ability and that variation, I think, made it a lot of fun. And then obviously the cast of characters we had, from Tamu to a young Getzy and Perry, Scotty, Bosch, Sean O'Donnell, Jiggy, Briz as our backup.
Oh yeah.
Sean Thornton.
People always forget he was our backup goalie then.
I know.
I think having, a really good mix of guys, it was a lot of fun. 2 scoring lines, a checking line, an energy line, and then we had a lot of depth in the minors, guys that had come up for our playoff run, and we're essentially we're going to be black aces, and they got some time in the finals when we had injuries.
Right. Yeah, Dustin Penner and those guys had come up, right?
Yep.
No,
he was there the whole year.
Oh,
he was on. Yeah, it was the year before. He had kind of been up and down.
Right.
The year before, when I was in Edmonton, when we played him, Penner, Getzy, and Perry were kind of up and down a lot from the minors.
Yep.
This was kind of their coming out party, so to speak, and they were our second line, and they were a really good line.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I played with Rod Niedermeyer, and he's a character himself.
Yes.
But for those guys to get together and you be a huge part of it, winning that Stanley Cup just must have been, it's a lifelong dream. But just to do it the way you guys did, you could play any way, and you're an exciting team to watch.
Yeah, and I think that, for a lot of people, that's the fun thing, is an exciting team. Lots going on in games, from the physical play to the fighting to the goal scoring to, all the rest of it. It big saves. It was, a really fun team to play on in that sense. And, I think the guys really enjoyed it too. Like, we came into the year on a mission. That team was put together to win. Everybody in the room bought in right from the jump, and it was Stanley Cup or bust right from training camp on. And Randy had his finger, his thumb on the pulse of the team, and on everybody's throats, kind of pushing us when we needed to be pushed. Backing off a little bit when we're getting a little tired or whatever during the dog days of the season. But having everybody in the same page, and everybody committed to play in a certain way, for the betterment of the team, accepting of their roles and things of that nature, I think was critical for us to be successful.
Now, that's the one thing that I always would say is like the closer, like, I don't know, it's like college for me was like everyone's pulling the rope in the right direction. The closest teams in pro that you could kind of get to that, this is just my opinion, where you're pulling the rope correctly, you're all care for one another in some capacity, and you're doing the right things, for each other. And I said, like, that's like the closest thing that I want to do is like trying to create that environment. But it sounds like you had the different age guys, different skill sets, and like just everyone kind of seemed to gel at the right time for that year.
Yeah, no, we really, and it helps. Again, it helps having guys have career years.
Yes.
Everybody was peaking at the time. Jiggy misses the first couple games of the playoffs with his son, being born with his issue, and Frizz stands on his head against Minnesota, and the first chance they swap out and get Jiggy in there, and he lights it up, and just the ebbs and flows of what a season looks like, and then obviously a playoff looks like, and the momentum swings, and that one we didn't lose very many. I think we went 16-5 that year, but there was a couple moments against Detroit in Game 5 we were looking too hot, and I think we're getting outshot like 35-12.
Yeah.
And, Scotty scored late in the third period to tie it, and then Teemu scored in overtime to actually no, was it second period? I think Scotty scored in the second period to tie it, and then on a weird looking goal from the corner, and then Teemu stripped the guy in OT and scored on a quasi breakaway. But that game, Jiggy stood on his, everybody has their hand in different games, and that particular series, that game, Jiggy won that game for us. That was the one game where we really needed him to be elite. That's right. He stole that one for us. 100%.
That's great.
Oh, that's great stuff. The I wanted to get into the going to the Flyers and seeing they've like my brother was there for a year and such a passionate fan base, and to see that Rick Tocchet come in this year, like they're having some success and looks like they're gonna get into the playoffs. Like talk about that city and your time playing there.
Yeah, I loved it there. It was I wish I would have got there earlier in my career.
Yeah.
It was the Broad Street Bullies and just what Philly's all about, what the Flyers were all about. And, for me, it was match made in heaven, and just loved, how they invested in their players and what they wanted out of their players. That kind of fit me to a T.
Right.
And so, it was a great fit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we ran into a buzzsaw in the Blackhawks in 2010, but, I think the way we got in, I think just the way we got in and the way we just started to come together as a team, we get in on a shootout victory against New York Rangers in the 82nd game of the year, which seems crazy to think that that's what it came down to.
Right.
But, and then for us to go all the way to the finals and, lose a heartbreaker in Game 6 in overtime. But, lots of, again, like sports, people don't, there's so many life lessons. There's so many things we can take out of it. How it can shape and mold our characters, and the grit and resilience it teaches us and creates within us. It's invaluable.
Right.
As far as the guys that, kind of are coming through, similar to like a, Anaheim situation, like Claude Giroux kind of coming into his own as a young player, being a little bit more of an impact. You got Cotter and Richards kind of finding their games a little bit, there's like 3 or 4 years into their careers, but I just, just as far as that team, it was like, you got, you could play different ways, like Richards, for example, I thought was like a hockey player. Like he could blow you up. He could outthink you at times, but he wasn't like the prettiest player. He was just got shit done. And I was like, all right.
He didn't look like Sergei Fedorov out there.
Right.
But he did what was, I think the great thing about him is he did what was necessary in the moment. To your point, I need to go run a guy. I need to go fight a guy. I need to score a big goal. I need to make this play, like very well rounded.
Right.
And then Matt Carl, like you're teamed up with him for a while, and he's just like I don't want to say nondescript because he was very, very good, but like you guys worked really well together, just as far as like his skill set, your skill set, and just making the simple plays, getting pucks through, eating pucks, whatever it may
Playing
be.
30 minutes a night, which he wasn't used to.
I was like, look at this guy. It's great.
He's like, we got to go out again. I go, yeah, we're going out again.
But you brought him along. I actually talked to him one time a couple of years later. You had stopped playing, but he was so appreciative of that ice time because of you. So I don't know if he ever expressed his feelings, but
I've talked to him. And what's funny too, like you never know when you're going to get your opportunity. You think about that run, We get Ville Leno,
Mm-hmm.
who we acquire from Detroit, where he's a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
We then healthy scratch him for like 3 or 4 games in a row. Then he gets a chance to play. Plays, pretty good. Yeah, I think it wasn't great, but pretty good. And then he gets his opportunity on that line with Danny B and and I think G maybe.
I don't think Drury was playing center at the time. I think he was playing wing.
Yeah. So whatever. I think it was with Danny B though. Yeah. He just caught fire. Oh, it was him and I was at Heartsea and Danny B. Oh, yeah. I don't know, whoever it was. They bounce guys around a little bit, but just to be able to be a healthy scratch that year and all of a sudden like just catch fire. And how many times have we seen players utilize the playoffs as an opportunity to sign a big contract and kind of showcase their game again and find their game and on the biggest stage. It's those are the guys you love to see have some success because it's on that stage where they are making the biggest mark on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a kind of a cool thing because there's different storylines, right? And Ville Leno was one of those guys that really took
not a household name back then.
No, but he was effective. That's for sure.
Very.
I think most of us, obviously remember your impact being a captain in 2010 with the the Olympics, right? And Canada winning the gold there. Crosby was young, and you were your second Olympics at the time, right? You were 02 and 10. 2010.
Well, second gold. That was my fourth Olympic Games.
Fourth. Wow.
Two-time gold medalist.
Two-time gold.
98, 02, 06, and then 2010.
Wow. But just, representing your country, like what was that like to, I know you were saying kind of earlier in the career, right? You almost, you thought you were going to, what was that, 92 going to that Olympic Games. And then that didn't, obviously you didn't, but now, being able to represent your country and win a gold medal and win 2 of them, it must've been amazing.
Yeah, especially with how 98 played out, losing a shootout to the Czechs in the semifinals and then losing a heartbreaker to Finland in the bronze medal game. And just the pressure that, you're the favorite. You have all this pressure, expectations to, blow teams out. Meanwhile, you're like, these guys are good too. It's not going to be a blowout. Right. Like very rarely is it going to be lopsided like that. And so having a chance at it in 2002 with a number of the same guys that were on that 98 team, and to get off to the start we had, getting smoked by Sweden out of the gate 5-2. And wow, there were a lot of broken ankles of people jumping off the Canadian bandwagon, I can tell you that. and I was looking at our stats. We went 1-1-1. I think we tied Czechs. We beat Germany, not by a lot. And people were like, the bandwagon was pretty well empty, I must admit, before we started into the medal rounds. And then, what I've learned over that time is just as a team finds itself, the chemistry, the buy-in from players with their roles and what their willingness to do, and then that chemistry just keeps building and building and building. And then with each successive game, we were getting better. And we could tell we were getting better and coming together as a team, so then that confidence and the ability to, come through in big moments, albeit we had a lot of big name players and star players, right? You still have to play as a team, regardless of the type of players you have, the supporting cast and whatnot, you still got to play as a team. And so we really came together and started to build that cohesiveness that you need as a team. And then we played our best game against the U.S. in that gold medal game in 2002. And while it was 5-2, it was still a very, very close game. I think it was 3-2 going into the third period. And they had a number of chances in the second, a few early in the third to tie it. And then we scored 2 late goals in the last 5 minutes to seal it. But it was a highly contested game for most of it.
And just that international play, and like you said, there's only one puck out there, right? So the quicker you can, I don't want to say accept roles if you're not the guy, like just finding that cohesiveness and being able to do it, like we saw it in, like this past year's Olympics, that what great hockey that was.
Yeah.
And, just finding guys, see high end NHL players in the stands, being healthy scratched. It's like, you got to figure it out, or,
Yeah.
you're not going to help the team. So at the end of it, I think, you living that experience, and then you can use those experiences for your own benefit when you go back to your teams. And I just think that's like just keeping your eyes and ears open and being that sponge, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. When you get a chance to play on these teams, you're, regardless of what your standing is in the game, with respect to, the greater game of hockey, you're still looking around and seeing what the likes of Mario Lemieux's doing, what Gretzky's doing, what Yzerman's doing, what Sakic's doing, how they handle themselves, how they prepare. You're trying to look for little things that you can implement into your game.
Yeah.
And so,
Love that.
when you play on these teams, to your point, you got to be a sponge. You got to kind of really soak up the information and, lean into a lot of these coaches. You're not, I had never been around most of these coaches before.
Yeah.
And, you're always playing against them. So you don't really know them. You don't know their systems. You don't know you can pick up little things too, and how to attack them later on.
There you go.
Yeah. But you also understand, how they operate, and you're able to utilize a lot of that while playing there, and then hopefully afterwards and put that into your game.
Mm.
Yeah. And, just to backtrack real quick, just for, we totally glazed over that you're the best, most valuable player in 2000 and won the Norris Trophy. That's just, we just want to make sure, the listeners know that, but, unbelievable season. And I'm just guessing, you mentioned something on Holly and Chaser's podcast. Was it one vote?
Yeah, I won by one vote.
Oh yeah.
So that year, we won the President's Trophy as the best regular season team.
Yeah,
the most points in the regular season, and then Pittsburgh, Jagger got hurt that year, and I think he missed 16 games, if I'm not mistaken. And so the Pittsburgh voter voted me one and him two. And that, you get X number of votes for one,
Right.
X number of votes for two. And the disparity between the two gave me a 1 vote victory.
Wow.
over his guy.
Over his guy.
I'm sure you. I'm sure you.
Too happy with him.
Yeah, exactly. No interviews for you next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, he remembers
That's a
that
great
one for
story.
sure. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But just as far as like looking at the stats and stuff, it's just putting it all together and being that impact player, and just being rewarded a little bit too for just that, the most valuable side of it. Like that Hart Trophy must have been quite a thrill. Being the best D, but then overall the most valuable, and that's just kind of an accomplishment. And like you should be proud of you're playing your game. Like we went back to that, just knowing your game, playing it, and then being kind of rewarded or kind of valued for that across the league.
Yeah. I think more valued for it across the league and obviously in the media, but
Yeah.
to have, I don't think looking at it now, I don't know if I realized the magnitude of it, because it hadn't happened before since Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it hasn't happened since. So clearly
Pretty good company to be in.
Pretty good company to be in. And clearly there's mitigating factors for a number of things. One, Al got hurt that year and missed significant amount of time. So they couldn't look at, wow, Al did this and Al did that. It was more, a lot of it was him helping, supplement the loss of Al. And frankly, before that season, Al won the Norris the year before. I got hurt that year, and I missed significant time with an ankle injury. And then I came back, and after the season, when we lost the playoffs, I was healthy because I missed a lot of the season.
Yeah.
So I immediately went into training. I didn't have to rehab anything. I didn't have to do anything. I just went right into training. So I had a good 4 months of die hard, ritualistic training of just like I am doing this and I am going to get to that next level. And that may have been one of the only years where I didn't have to rehab an injury coming out of the playoffs. So the fact that that was my best year kind of speaks to, you get banged up and you get little bumps and bruises. Like you're never playing 100%. And that year, for the most part, I was 100%.
Yeah, and you're able to stack a good off season on before, right? So
Correct.
going
Correct.
in, you're prepared and physically, and then you maintain your gains, and maintain your maintenance, throughout the season.
That's right.
And just do your thing. But that was great. I just wanted to make sure that everyone heard about that quick story, and it's kind of a unique one, winning by one vote, from pretty much the guy that he's supposed to be.
Exactly.
That's funny.
That's unbelievable. I wanted to just ask you before we let you go about the style that you had. You had the tongues out. They were kind of like, it was almost a little long, right? And then you probably worked in the shot blockers, right? But it was pretty unique style back in the day. Like when did that start?
Yeah, I added a little tongue.
Yeah.
When I go block shots, my shin pads wouldn't go down far enough. So being so tall. Right. So then I was like, all right, I need to add a little piece there because it kept hitting me in the ankle.
Yep.
Like on the front of the laces there. So then I'm like, all right, add this piece. Then as I turned pro, I broke my foot. So then I needed it to be longer.
Yep.
And then it just like, I needed these flaps. I never liked those big plastic boot things that they were using for a while.
Right.
They were uncomfortable and I kept catching an edge. And
did you wear them though for a bit?
I wore them for a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I broke my foot a couple times again, and I had to put them on. But those tongues, for the most part, protected enough.
Yeah.
But it's as you know, it's a physical game on any number of levels. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of things we can break. But if you can mitigate it by putting a stupid flap on, why wouldn't you?
No.
Whether it looked good or not, I don't know. But sometimes things.
I know a lot of guys, in my era that tried to emulate it, right? So
same here. Yeah.
Exactly. They thought it looked good. And I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than a shot or a chop to the top of that. That's one of those points that the right in the laces there that gets you. That hurts.
I had the opposite problem as you. I had the short, stumpy legs, so my shin pads went like all the way down. I was all set.
They were too long.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, Chris, this has been fantastic. We can't thank you enough for taking the time. And once again, good luck with the book. Obviously, make sure everybody go out and buy that thing. Earn it.
Yeah, Amazon.com, ChrisPronger.com. You know where to go.
Exactly. I love it. Well, Chris, thank you again. Mott, you got anything?
Thanks, guys.
No, I just appreciate your time, man. We could have, hot stoked it for a little bit longer. Love hearing the stories, and appreciate you taking it the time to share.
You bet. My pleasure.
All right. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
That interview with Chris Pronger was also brought to you by Neutral Zone. Neutral Zone, we've talked about them. They're in the rinks. I know this past weekend I was tracking, they've been, they were watching the Quebec Major Junior League showcase that they had here in New England. I think it was out at Wellesley, but I was, following Murph and Ian and all those guys, and they're in the rinks. They're unbiased, and they're identifying and scouting talent, across the board from those critical ages. So go to neutralzone.com, use code RINKSHRINKS for 20% off.
Yeah, you get that expert, unbiased insight by subscribing at neutralzone.com.
And also Franklin Sports. When the ice melts, you can keep playing with Franklin Sports. Take the game from the rink to the driveway with Franklin's street hockey gear, perfect for wherever your crew drops the puck. Head to franklinsports.com. Use the code TRS15 for 15% off your purchase. Play all year long with Franklin Sports.
Yeah, when the ice melts, keep playing. So Franklin Sports, be that multi-sport athlete that we always talk about. Make sure you check out franklinsports.com and use our code TRS15.
Mott, so it was awesome catching up with Chris Pronger. Just great story. Obviously, I'm dying. I'm looking forward to the book. Obviously, that's going to be dropping on April 14th. We talked to him about it, and just a great interview. Great guy to talk to. Like you said, Norris Trophy winner, MVP. But just sees the game from perspective and figured it out how to be a Hall of Famer, right? Just like being really good at the things he was good at, and guy that I always grew up, kind of enjoyed watching.
Yeah, I mean, and just think about just his path, and we kind of, I loved how we just kind of bounced it around a little bit, but he, all the stuff that he said, like we do have like some thoughts on, and we didn't have to ask him any questions because he kind of worked through it, but like from adding depth to like each part of his kind of experiences and some of the things that a lot of players and a lot of parents should hear. And I'm glad that he put this book together, and I can't wait to read it. And it's a must read for parents and youth hockey players, and that's what he said. And it's just, if it's kind of reaffirming the right messaging, really.
Right. Yep.
And that's kind of what we try to aim to do here, right? But just hearing it through his lens and his kind of point of view is pretty cool, because just growing up watching him, and then we're fortunate enough to play against him a little bit for a few years, and just an impact player, and the way he got there, and just understanding his game, and I think that's like an invaluable like lesson for these guys, especially for me, who why I asked him that question. But I
think that should be mandatory summer reading for all your your Steel players coming in next year, right? Give them a little summer reading.
I'm gonna send it off.
Homework assignment,
day one. You get back.
Yeah, there's gonna be a test.
There will be a test.
There's gonna be a test. But yeah, make sure you get on there and check out Chris Pronger's book, Earned, right? And the true cost of greatness from one of hockey's fiercest competitors. And he was that. He was that. That is for damn sure. He was a fierce competitor.
He played within the old rules, the new rules. It didn't matter,
He made up his own rules.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I wanted to ask him if he ever had a chance to fight his brother. I totally forgot.
I know. That's funny. All right, now it's time for My Hockey Rankings question of the week. And myhockeyrankings.com. They've been with us from the beginning, so make sure you go to My Hockey Rankings and see where your team finished out the season. I know we're into the springtime now, and kids are playing some tourneys and all that stuff, right? So go to myhockeyrankings.com when you can. This one, how did the rookie lap start, and what are your thoughts on it? It's a good question.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it started, Mats? Did you do one?
No.
He's disgusted by it.
No. I think it happened while I was playing.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. But it wasn't real common. It's not what it was not always. And I guess being with the Devils, like there was no chance we were doing that.
Right.
When the rookies came out.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact like kind of timing of it, but it was within, like, I'd say 10-year time range when I was around. But it's just a way of like like a nice rookie, say, hazing, but not hazing.
Yeah.
Right. So it gives guys that get out there and snap it around, and it's pretty cool to have that kind of sense on first game. You're gonna have first game jitters. It's a good way to kind of know that you're. But like they used to do it when they first started, like it was like a surprise.
Right.
Now it's like almost expected, Be like, hey, take us out there, kid. Let's go. And then all of a sudden be like, put the brakes on.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it? Overall?
No, I mean, I think it's obviously really cool. I think especially with, hey, like it's an unbelievable, like you see some of the, like I remember Gabe Perot's last year, and now this year it was Drew Fortescue when he got his. They both got signed with the Rangers, and they played, and you had like their teammates, BC guys that were all down there with their jerseys on, kind of banging on the glass. Like that's pretty unbelievable, right? Like especially you're talking original six, Madison Square Garden. I mean, Fortescue's from, he grew up like playing in the mid Fairfield and everything.
Yeah.
That area, right? So he's a pretty local kid. But I think it's really cool at the NHL level, and I guess I don't know if they do it in college because
Nah.
they don't, right? But like the kids in the USHL do it.
Well, yeah, we did. I mean, I was like, yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah,
just go out and win a game. But I get the
Colin
reason.
did it. Colin said when he played it, the couple games in Madison, he did the rookie lap, and he was like, I was more nervous than when I was playing. So, like you said, the first game jitters. I do think it is pretty cool. It's could it be a little overdone? Probably, but I think especially when you kind of now at the different levels, right? Whether it's the junior level or especially when you make your professional debut, these guys making NHL debuts, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I know. I do like
I'd
it.
probably fall down or something like
blow an edge.
Yeah,
just go down.
There's no way I would be going
step on a
top
puck.
speed.
Not even try to pivot.
That was very fast.
Go no pivoting to backwards. Just in case, like I might not be clean on this, catch an edge and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool concept, but I don't know. I'm not like completely into it.
Well, it's a good question for the My Hockey Rankings question of the week. Now it's time for Mott's Moment Lock of the Week, presented by FanDuel. Mott's 13-18 with Boston losing to Tampa a couple weekends ago. This Tuesday, we have the Devils taking on the Bruins in Boston.
Yeah,
we don't have the odds yet. What do you like? Obviously, Devils, there's been some shakeups there. Bruins are in the mix, right? They clinched the playoff spot. What do you think?
So, you said Devils, Bruins?
Devils, Bees, Tuesday night when this episode drops. Same night.
In
Boston.
Yeah. Boston's already clinched the playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Devils game last night. They're buzzing. I'm gonna say
everybody's playing for their jobs.
Yeah.
You going Devils?
Yeah, going Devils.
All right. Lock it in.
Yeah, lock it in. Mott's Moment Lock of the Week. FanDuel. So let's do
it. Lock it in. It would take in the Devils on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and it wrapped things up. Once again, thank you to Chris Pronger. He was great guest, awesome. Make sure you check out his book, Earned. It's going to be flying off the shelves, and he said on Amazon.com and ChrisPronger.com you can purchase that. So make sure you do so. Mott's, make sure you send it out to the squad, and I know I'll be sending it out to my teams as well because I'm excited to. Maybe I wonder if it's the book on tape. You can do that one.
Yeah, you never know. We should have asked.
I don't know. I'm sure they can. I think that's like a pretty standard thing now.
Huh.
Yeah, I haven't read many books lately, so clearly.
That's good though. I mean, get it on tape and pop it in the car.
Exactly. All right. So a reminder, the show is presented by FanDuel, and it is time to cue the Rink Shrink Shuffle, Jersey.